The topic today is transforming negativity into wealth during the recession. We hear concerns that we're going to go to the Great Depression. Notice the word great is used there, the Great Depression. Well, today I'm going to talk about the new great stimulus package, and so how it's going to turn all negativity into tremendous wealth and positivity. First, let's examine the Great Depression. You had people losing everything, people killing themselves over it. The story that's not told is a tremendous cohesion it built between families, within the family, between families, people helping each other out. Remember my father telling me, when you rented an apartment, you got 1 month free. So he and his mother and 2 brothers had to keep moving every month to keep getting free rent somewhere. And that's what people had to do. I can't help but think there was a certain nostalgia about those times. But I'll tell you this, it forged such motivation, it produced a generation of giants. Because they said, I never want to be in that position again. I don't want my children to have to wonder where the next meal is coming from. So we look at the tremendous motivation, the drive, the positiveness that gave so much incentive that was still riding on the shoulders of those giants created by the Great Depression. We could have called it a depression, but it's a Great Depression. Great things came out of it. Great human beings were forged during those times of hardship. You never hear of great human beings being forged during times of ease. You don't hear much about that. It's during the times of hardship. So that's why I'm going to be talking today about the great stimulus package. And we're going to draw power from this hardship, spiritually, emotionally, and materially. Now, when talking about this, we're going to also talk about some practical issues as well as some philosophical and spiritual issues. A practical issue we're going to go into is back door versus front door. You know, when you come in to the front door, you say, my name is so-and-so, here's my card, my resume. Well, typically what happens is a big stack of papers. But the back door approach, whenever you can use it, is very powerful. And you'd be amazed how many people you know right now that can be a back door for great things to happen, for new opportunities to open for you that you never even imagined. I'll give you one example that I'm personally familiar with. I wanted to build up my practice more. My cousin Phil Nerenberg, I knew he had been at the Navy shipyard. But I said, Phil, do you know anybody that can maybe help refer people? This was like 15 years ago. He says, well, we're just driving along. We never had a conversation like this. Well, you know, I've been a shop steward at the Metal Trade Council. I can introduce you to Frank Griffin. He's the president of the council. So I went to the Navy shipyard, met with Frank. I didn't know how things worked, but he said, oh, you're Phil's cousin. I said, yeah. Well, then you're a psychologist. Of course, I had to prove myself time and again to really help the people there, but I became a consultant to the Metal Trade president of the Metal Trade Union, sheetrock, painters union, all the presidents. I would meet with them all. And I gained tremendous experience and had to serve some great human beings, some great leaders and people that worked in Navy shipyard. My cousin Phil. Hey, Phil, do you know anyone that could help with this process? And that opened up a whole expertise of dealing with unions. Now, I guarantee you this. If I would have gone to Frank Griffin and said, hey, I'm Dr. Nerenberg, here's my card, here's my resume, he would have said, thank you very much. I'm sure I never would have heard from him. But he knew my cousin Phil, who retired, had been a shop steward at that union, retired while still working at the Navy shipyard in Long Beach. And I became the psychologist. Oh, you're Phil's cousin. Oh, well, you're our psychologist. I didn't know it worked like that. So what I'm saying to you, if that happened with me, it can happen for many of you and whatever you want to build up.